Absolutely, sir. I request you to stay on with us. And on that note, let's, also as we wait for some official talking points for the Trump-Modi bilateral meeting, let's try and decode what exactly does the U.S. president want from this meeting. So, what are some expectations that the United States president can also have out of this meeting with the Indian Prime Minister? Now, of course, point one is greater market access for American goods and services in India. With US officials saying that the trade deal is going to be on top of the priority list. Of course, the United States will be looking for greater market access to its own goods in India, which has also come up in trade talks over the past year as well as in the joint agreement framework that was signed earlier in 2025. Now, expanded defense purchases and deeper military cooperation between India and the United States. Of course, defense being another a key area of cooperation between the two countries, and expanded defense purchases are also to be expected out of this meeting. Joint strategy to counter China's assertiveness across the Indo-Pacific region. Now, of course, the United States has viewed its relationship with India as a sort of counter to China's influence in the global south. So, a joint strategy to counter that is also expected to come out of this meeting. Long-term American oil and LNG exports to India. Now, of course, oil cannot be far away from the topics to be discussed, and the United States president will be looking for it to become a long-term supplier of oil and LNG to India, especially with the disruptions going on in Iran and the sanctions on Russian oil. Reduction of India's dependence on Russian energy and defense supplies. So, of course, that brings us back to reducing India's dependence on Russia, which is what the United States sees it as. Greater market access for American tech giants in India. Now, we've seen key deals being signed over the past year, or we've seen the meeting between, the Prime Minister and some of those tech giants. Of course, they will be looking for a greater market access in India as well. Those, of course, are the key expectations that the United States can have from this meeting that comes more than a year later. So, those are some things to watch out for. Ambassador K P Fabian, a former diplomat, continues to be with us on the broadcast. Sir, of course, between this meeting, a very important point to consider is what is the United States hoping to get out of this. So, what do you see coming up, in this talk between the two leaders? Of course, the United States is looking to expand market of its own goods into India, and oil, of course, is going to be a big point of discussion. So, how do you see that playing out? Because recently we've seen the sanctions on Russian oil extended. So, how do you see that impacting the talks between the two leaders?
Let me start with the oil now. As regards the oil, India is prepared to buy oil from anywhere provided the prices are right. And the prices should be decided by market considerations, not by, quote, political, unquote, considerations. And we have purchased from the United States hydrocarbon energy at prices, quote, at politically determined prices, which I suppose from a prudential point of view, we had to do it. But I think we should limit it. And the clear message to the United States should be, we will buy more and more from you, provided you are market competitive. And as regards Russian oil and all that, a clear message should go. Now, it is not for you to dictate from whom we buy oil. And we do take note of the fact that when you impose extra tariff on India for buying Russian oil, we were not the only country buying Russian oil, and you did not impose tariff on other countries. And you argued that India's buying the Russian oil was giving Russia the financial resources for conducting the war on Ukraine. But at the same time, you were importing, and you are still importing, fertilizer and much else from Russia. So your argument was wrong morally, legally, and logically. Of course, all this can be put more diplomatically. I'm just putting it, in plain English for the purpose of this discussion. Now, regarding China, we should take note that Trump spoke of G2 when he was in Beijing. And it is my view that Quad is slowly dying. Let me share with you something. When Biden was president, the American embassy had invited a few senior journalists to give them a briefing. And the embassy said, Quad, oh, that is like ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross, tsunami, and this and that. Now, none of the media carried that story. No, I think we have to be realistic, and this thought of India being a counterweight to China in America's scheme of things, no, that is outdated. And in any case, we don't want to be a counterweight. We are prepared to improve our relations, and we are improving our relations with China, but we expect China to be reasonable in regard to the border matter. But we don't want to teach us, we don't want to take the line, till the border matter is settled, we won't improve. So we are improving. It is in our interest, it's in China's interest, so we shall continue to do that. And as regards the trade deal, well, we should give access more to more American goods and even take care of some of the tariff difficulties. But so in certain matters, we should be firm. For example, some of our economists were arguing that it's only one company, Amul, which is standing in the way of our importing more dairy goods. Well, I'm sorry, that economist was getting it wrong. Amul is not a company, it's a cooperative. I suppose, I don't know, more than 4 million farmers are part of that cooperative. So to confuse between that cooperative and a multinational or a corporate, well, it doesn't make any sense. So we have to stand firm where it is necessary, but otherwise we should accommodate, because if we go on accommodating, they will demand more. That is the American style, and that is the Trump style. But all this to be done with diplomatic subtlety.
Absolutely. Sir, I request you to stay on with us. We have some further developments coming in now. Congress